frequency, waves, sound, all of these things that we think about traveling in like waves, they're actually bubbles. And with Jupiter and Gemini and the sun and the new moon, all of that happening in Gemini, this bubble is expanding. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Plus, Saturn moving into Aries, and I Ching 20 air over Earth. It just feels, it's all about communication. This is your weekly energy report for May 22nd through May 27th. I'm Candace. Okay, so in I Ching, it's called Overview. In human design, it is the gate of now. And in Gene Keys, it's called the sacred Om. Okay, it's about authenticity. Continuing with the theme of last week, where we were really getting into style and like giving something that feels incredibly authentic and new to you, we're continuing with that theme. And this time it's all about expression. Now, the sun moved into Gemini yesterday, May 21st. Having left Taurus, now entering air from Earth. But if you're following this with the hexagram series and following me throughout this journey, then you know that we just stepped into wind over air, over Earth, which just feels really appropriate for Gemini being the next phase. Obviously, they're in tandem, right? This makes sense. And when we're thinking of wind and air and what air actually is, this is going to give us a lot of insight into like what I think the real focal point of the month is going to be. And it's kind of cool to think that we have been prepped to get to this level of communication. Okay. So we went from like this energy of water over Earth to wind over Earth. And we really need to cover like what is air? What is wind? Like this movement, what it's invisible movement and force that affects the change on Earth and within us. Here's the thing about air. Air transmits ideas, ideals, promotes delivery of accurate knowledge and facts, okay? But it can also carry incorrect concepts and endorse dysfunction. So this force or this movement of information, it doesn't travel, it doesn't have a morality behind it. It actually can choose or it does have a morality behind it. It can be conscious and decide to go left or right or up or down and make a decision about, the kind of information it wants to move. And so all information is getting moved and tossed about when we are in this air sign of Gemini. And with Jupiter in Gemini right now, Jupiter, remember, is the planet of luck. It's the planet of expansion. It's the planet of explosion. It can make something really big. It could also be micro. Remember, let's reverse the idea. You could look at something really small. You could go deeply into something. You could implode. You could go in it and pull it apart. That is the expansion idea behind Jupiter. So Jupiter has been in Gemini all year long, and there's been so much communication on Earth, good or bad, media, you can totally tell, just everyone giving their opinion, the way we are all communicating loudly right now. This is on purpose. We all got to get the sounds out. We have to get out what we all are trying to really get to. The core of this unity within us is behind all of the noise that has been like stored in our energy for this entire time, right? So that's something I want you to think about. And what happens when we get this communication and it comes into us, we have to choose what we do with this information as it flows or filters through our chakras and our body. We can choose to use that for momentum and expansion and growth, or we can choose to use it for decay and dismantle and chaos and destruction. We choose the path that we decide we want to go on in this way. Now, also, like when you look out the window, if it's windy, what's the wind doing? It's cleaning things, it's moving debris, it's transferring seeds. You think a plant doesn't travel, but if its seed can go 5 miles away and be planted there and then grow and then have a seed and then it can keep moving. And we have invasive species in the United States that are from other countries. Clearly, plants can travel, right? And it's this idea that you are grow, like you get to, there's this movement that you get to do. If you think about your manifestations being carried on the wind, it's a really good time to transmit or to send out the signal that you really want to go far and allow the energy of wind to carry it further on earth for you. Use it as momentum. And then what I want you to think about air and communication. And I don't want you to think about just sound. I want you to think about all forms of communication being bigger and louder and more chaotic and more destructive or motivating. Really, it's just going to be all of it at once. But remember, air is carrying information. So there's a lot of information that you can pick up if you are looking for it. So whatever questions you have, whatever inquiries are coming up for you, whatever you feel like you need to know or to learn more about, excellent time to learn. The knowledge is everywhere. It's moving in the wind. Your job is just to open up to receiving, like a radio signal, like tuning into that frequency to get the message. One more thing to think about when you think about Gemini is the idea of twins. Now, I don't know if you know any twins, if you have any twin friends, or if you are a twin, okay? Uh, this idea that these two human beings came in vessels that look quite identical, especially if they're like, they're identical twins, yet their personalities are absolutely not the same. And this idea that this vessel might look exactly the same. DNA, same. All of this is the same, but the spark, the essence, the uh, emanation behind this avatar is absolutely its own thing. No matter, and I'm sure there are twins who are a little bit more alike, but people can tell them apart based on their personalities, right? That's that essence. That's that communication that Gemini is really talking about. It's not talking about sounds and words. That's a part of it. That's just vibrating air, right? That's just air that's moving. This is all about like all of the expressions that you push across, okay? And how other people pick it up. How other people pick it up is a mirror of that expression. And you are, and the way I want you to think about it is if you are, a twin and you have this very unique experience, most of us do not, of being able to see someone who looks exactly like us. Even if you're a sibling or a parent that looks like you and you can see yourself in them sometimes, I'm sure it's absolutely not the same as being able to see another human being and they look exactly like you. And so all of the expressions that you carry within this avatar, like, how you look when you're lying or you're excited or you're terrified, that other individual can put out those expressions and you can see exactly your playing field, right? Like other people don't get that. They get a mirror that's kind of showing them a completely opposite view of themselves. No one actually gets to see themselves in this way. And because of that, we are usually not very aware of the energy that we are sending out or even sometimes taking in. The energy that we allow into our vessels and the energy that we express out of our vessels. If we start thinking about it from another level and what information is in that packet and what information we are seeking to send out and get back, we would consider all of these aspects of our being, but you can't consider it from a place of trying to control it. It has to be like natural, and that's where the gene keys comes in here. And I think it's really important that we start here. So in the gene keys, the shadow is superficiality, the gift is self-assurance, and the siddhi is presence. And the expression that you give off, if in the shadow, comes off as superficial. And what each of us, and some of us are really good at, and some of us are learning, is how to be more self-assured, comfortable in the vessel, existence without interference. And when you exist without interference and become absolutely comfortable within this time, space, vessel dynamic, even for just a moment, you can reach this state of absolute presence. And it emanates this energetic charge from your being that magnetizes experience towards you. It's how you get all the things you want in your manifestation, and allows you to feel. I can't put it any other way. It's like, you draw this attention to something for some reason. People will be attracted to you. They will come up to you. They will want to know you. There is a thing about you that is underneath your looks, your all of it, all of these parts that are formed. It's something else. It's the essence within the packet. And this isn't a place we have to stay long. Everybody knows someone superficial, right? And it's like it's like all style, no substance. There's nothing in this packet besides prettiness. And I watch a lot of British television. I'm going to tell you this, okay? And I watch a lot of old television. So I rarely have seen anything on, let's say, like a standard network television, right? Or even like I'm not watching like the hottest things on Netflix as often as other people, right? But one thing that I can't help but notice is how they make all of the people in the United States, how attractive they try to make them come off as. And it's so fake to me now. It doesn't even look real anymore compared to like seeing actual human beings on television that just like look like regular people acting. And it's like, why can't we? And it's, there's this level sometimes of you can see it in the Matrix of like this it's it's like the fruit looks really pretty, but it was grown with all these toxins, so there's no nutritional value, right? It's all style, no substance. How much do we eat that is absolutely empty in actual nutrients but filling us with fucking just chemicals and food, excuse my French, but it's just like you practically are eating cardboard. There are no nutrients in this, right? Like, but you got a whole plate of it. So you think you're full, but you have not fed anything in your body. All style, no substance. It's it's all of the ways that we've taken out the soul and the heart of everything within what we do within our fashion, within our design, within interiors, within business. We've tried to make it so robotic so that it works because we have chosen capitalism, right? We want it to be so profitable that we've removed the heart and the soul behind what makes something good, and all that we are left with is like disposable stuff, right? That really serves no one. The greatest thing about furniture, besides the fact that real furniture is nice and beautiful, you could have it for 50 years. Your kids could have it. Maybe your kids don't need to buy that piece, right? Like their kids can have it. We've removed that heart, that's an ancestral lineage. Like we remove this heart behind these everyday aspects of our life, and then we're wondering why we're miserable. Now, this shadow can show up for us in two different ways. Hectic, someone who can't engage or be still. You'll notice it. They have to keep moving. They have to keep going. They can't really stop. And there's this level of kind of a numbness to it, and it's a transience. Um, it's about self-absorption and being inside too much, so much so that you're not even in control of your vessel and what it's doing in the now on earth. So like, you ever just going through the motions and then you look up and you're on the other side of the room and you have no idea the 7 things you did before you even got to the other side of the room? You've forgotten everything that needed to be remembered. Like, you weren't there, but you did all this stuff in the room. That's a part of it. It's like you are absent from the now moment of existence because you're absorbed within yourself, right? It doesn't mean that you love what you're doing down there, but you can't get over yourself. You're always in your mind thinking of you, right? And then you have this other one, which is completely absent, right? You repress yourself. These people are like staring off into the distance. They are freezing and temporarily displacing themselves. They call it actually a mini death. And that's because it's like they're in a room, you can see it. You've done this with people, right? And like you can see someone's paying attention to you, and then all of a sudden they're no longer there, and then they come back, and you're like, well, where the hell did they go? That's like that's a they're calling it an absentness, okay? And it's a part of being quote unquote superficial. It's almost like they don't have the attention span to actually engage fully, and they have to leave, and probably to guilt themselves about not having the attention span. So it's not like, they're off doing something great in their minds, but it's a level of having to escape from the scenario of the now. This is a lot about the present moment, by the way. I love the title of this. Divine relaxation is self-assurance. Self-assurance comes into being when a human being first learns to let go of their thinking as the authority in making decisions. You can overthink yourself into, out of, next to, besides, on top of, anything. You can overthink anything. You could change it, you could flip it, you could rub it down. Okay. There is a level of having to like release, allow intuition, and just kind of allow flow. But there's so many overthinkers. You could practically see smoke coming out of their ears. They're trying to think their way out of every situation. And it's so funny to me because the brain just doesn't do that. The brain only can work on the past. It doesn't have the ability to think you out in a new way. Only the heart and the essence behind the DNA can do that. The DNA holds and stores memory. The DNA is a place where you can look back. It's not a place where you can forge new. Okay? Not in this way. There are gaps in there for you to create new. But if you stay in the past for too long, if you stay down for too long, if you stay in this area of like overthinking, it could be even just like an overactive mind. You are overusing a vessel that doesn't work like that. And it's almost like if you were to go over to your computer and you were to try to pull up a program that you have not downloaded and being upset that the program's not there because the program has not been downloaded, it comes from outside of the mainframe. You don't have the information that you need. You need to get it from somewhere else. And the only way to do that is to release the bound that you have, this imprisonment of the mind. Okay. Okay. This is really important because decision making is a place where you immediately see where people are confident or are not, and it's all about trusting the self. Okay, because there's never going to be the perfect right decision every single time. It's not something that can be guaranteed as a measure. You can't use that as a basis for your information. Now, the only thing that you can have control over is knowing that, you know what, no matter the decision that I make, I can handle it. I can manage this. I am strong enough. I can figure this out. I can do this, right? Completely different. Then it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, most of the time, guess what? The decision makes itself. And then what cracks me up the most is that to me personally, and this is not even a brag, but like let the decision make itself in my life. I am 100% able to just release into whatever that decision is, right? Sometimes because I'm just like, I ain't got no other choice. When I have no choices, it was pretty easy for me to like move on to the next thing, right? I just don't have it to stay complaining about something I don't have a choice about. Okay. And like, it's like waves of this realizing that you have no control. And when you do, then the decision, I'm not saying the decision kind of goes in the direction it was naturally going to go in anyway. And if you think that you can like, this is something that I'm realizing a lot. It's like we're trying to plan stuff out, and with these decisions, we think like 6 weeks in advance. We like plan out this thing that you're going to make a decision on, and this is the decision I'm going to make. I need to think about this sooner than that because if I don't think about it sooner, then I might make the wrong decision. When in reality, the only true right time to actually make the decision is in the moment the decision needs an answer. You can get information from the time you were asked all the way until that time that could affirm, not affirm, change your mind, all of it. You've been getting data the whole time. You don't have to make a decision until the end. And that in the right moment, that's when you're living in time instead of trying to project time or like, manipulate time. You know right then and there if you want to do something. And if you don't know right then and there if you want to do something, then you don't know yourself. Spend some time investigating who you are, because in reality, you always knew. How do you know? Because when you say yes to something, are you annoyed by having to do it? Then you've already betrayed yourself. You didn't want to do it. It's very easy to see where you are on this playing field. And in reality, you should be happy with all of your decisions because you're the only one who makes them. And why wouldn't you be? Even if at the end you didn't like the result of that decision, you gained some juice here that you can use at a later time. And see, all of these decisions that we make, all of these planning that we do, all of this structure that we put onto Earth, okay? And this is very interesting with Saturn coming into Aries, this structure that's coming back into our lives. I think this is speaking to us from a new place. We are trying to opt out of having to be present in the moment by having everything planned just in case, right? If I'm making a plan, it's because I don't trust myself enough to actually fulfill whatever I planned out in the real time. I had to do it before because I don't believe that I could get it done. That's really at the end of the day. I don't trust my mind to hold the information. I, maybe my discipline isn't where it needs to be. Whatever reason, there is this futuring, planning, trying to put something in firm foundation to ensure my participation. And that's how I see it from that area, where if I were continuously present in my moment, in my now, I would know exactly instinctually what I would need to do. And it's a fun exercise you should try in the morning. Just don't plan it. Just ask, what am I meant to do? And see where your body takes you. See where the momentum takes you. You could be, this is one of those moments, would you be headed towards the kitchen? You think you're going in there to grab something to drink. All of a sudden, you done headed to another room, grabbed a pen, wrote something down, and then all of a sudden you got a plan. But you released control and allowed the magnipole, the momentum of your life to move you with faith and trust of the current instead of trying to roll against, or like some days. The other day I was working on editing something and everything just started buzzing and beeping and not working, and I'm like, I could climb this hill or I could get off the mountain and do something else. I got 17 other things I can do. Get off this mountain, get on another mountain. Why would I go in resistance? Why would I deplete my energy in that way? It's not necessarily, I got another day, right? So there's this level of, and that's an allowance of the universe to put a border or a boundary, and a gentle boundary. They put a little rock for me to trip on, not a mountain for me to climb. And I have to choose if I want to continue to go in that direction, irregardless of the things that could be in my way. When there's an easier flow, they're not necessarily stopping me from moving in that direction, because that would not be free will. You got to learn to use gentle nudges and stop needing to be smacked, is what it says to me sometimes, right? And now this brings me to this question to you. On a day-to-day basis, scale of 1 to 10, how relaxed can you? I'm not going to say are you, because I'm sure you're not living a relaxed state. I don't know many humans, let's say in America, that are, right? I think maybe in other countries there are people living in a relaxed state, but the normal average American human is not living in a relaxed state 24 hours a day, right? So when you do decide to take yourself to a relaxed state, which is, how often do you take yourself to a relaxed state, or do you have to be taken? Does someone have to, does the nap have to snatch you, or are you snatching the nap, right? Two, when you get there, how relaxed do you get? How relaxed? What this deep seated state of relaxation? Can you release all of the muscle tensions? Is your neck still tight? Are your fingers still scrolling on the phone? That's not relaxed, right? Like, where can you, there are measures of relaxation. And if you could take yourself to a 0, and let's say, a 5, a 4, a 3, maybe it's not always a 0, but like, how close can you get to super stillness and deep presence in a relaxed state. It requires a lot of presence to be absolutely relaxed. It's not zoning out. That's the most unrelaxed state because your mind is somewhere else and your body is here, and your body likes to be with your mind. The most relaxed state is absolute presence. Okay. And it's a practice. So I want you to think about that, because that absolute presence has a gift in that information packet. And we're going to explore more of that when we look at the human design. In human design, this is connected to the gate of now. Okay. So the gate of now is, remember, we're going through the throat chakra all month. If you've been keeping up with these energy reports, if you're not new here, the throat chakra has been a major theme since the beginning of the month. And making all of the different connections to the different parts of the body in human design. So this is the connection of the throat chakra and the spleen. And this splenic intuition travels up to the throat to be communicated in the moment it arises. Have to stay in the moment to experience it. Okay, so let's talk about the spleen first, and then we'll talk about what this means. So the spleen is connected to temperance and healing. The spleen works with the stomach to fight infection and promote tissue healing. It helps balance the body. It's connected in human design to living spontaneously, your health and well-being, your values, and your immune system. And in human design, there are these three different things that this is connected to. And it's all about the lymphatic system, the spleen, and the T cells. Okay. And if you know anything about me, if you've been here for a while, you know my standing on the lymphatic system, especially if you follow me on Luluti. So this always makes me perk up, because that is just, it's like your body's plumbing system. It's so important. Anyway, the lymphatic system acts like the ears, nose, tongues all over the body, constantly listening, tasting, smelling to make sure everything in the environment is healthy and balanced. So enter your body. Your lymphatic system is your sensory organ, constantly watching and policing your cells to ensure that they are healthy. If they are not, the T cells are called in. So the T cells are stored and made and produced in the spleen. So you can think of the spleen as like this defense system of the body, able to see what the body needs and like sends out these defenders for you. Okay. And this area is in charge of lightheartedness and laughter, as well as fear, survival, and well-being. It keeps us moving safely forward while cleansing built up toxins and adverse effects to negative energy and memories of the system. Okay. So your spleen is in charge of clearing negative influence or energy, old memories that are logging up or jagging up the system, and any toxins, cellular waste. All right. And it's always alert on anything that can threaten the system, even negative emotional vibrations. This is the oldest point of awareness in the body, older than the third eye and the solar plexus. Thus, it is present in every life form on the planet. And the spleen really does, there are 7 primal fears that come from the spleen: inadequacy, the future, fear of the past, fear of responsibility, fear of failure, fear of dying before you reach your purpose, and the fear of authority. Okay, so that is the connection that the spleen makes to different areas of the body to ascertain where you may have a challenge in this reality, in regards to one of these fears. Okay. Now, in human design, this is all about that presence again. Okay. I want you to think about how there you are in a situation and how much you're projecting your mind thought out to plan what you're going to say next. Okay. Splenic intuition travels directly to the throat center in a wave of knowing that races to be communicated in the moment. Individual insight that comes from a deep intelligence or acumen that is based in our ancient instincts and connected to the immediate moment's intuitive knowing. And this is it's like not an energy source. It's all about intuition and how we learn how to communicate that intuition, to take the instruction of the message of that intuition and express it out at the right time. And this is really connected to the idea of I am what I am, and I know how to be what I am. Say that again. I am what I am. I am what I am, and I know how to be what I am. Okay. So you know how to express authentically to your nature. Okay. And it's intuitively, this is something that life is going to call from you. When you are finely tuned and firmly anchored in the now, you are connected to your ability to survive. From this perspective, there is no fear of tomorrow. You are one who simply knows what to do without having to think about it. Your intuitive knowing and body move in one spontaneous wave of energy. Okay? That's where we're trying to get to. And there are a couple of things I want you to think about. So, this is connected to the gate of now. And again, it's about purpose fulfilled through form, ensuring that your essence is using your vessel for your purpose and fulfilling it in the proper way. Okay. That you're actually going through with what you said you came here to do. It keeps you focused in the present and supports your capacity to survive as yourself. When your expression is properly timed, awareness will be transformed into words or actions that can impact people around you. This energy frequency is and must be totally absorbed in the present moment. It can give voice to Gate 57's intuitive survival awareness, to Gate 10's behavioral patterns and commitments to higher principles, or it can manifest Gate 34's sacral power through action towards individuation. Gate 20 expresses the full range of being in the moment, from I am now to I know I am myself doing now, but does not consider the past or the future. Okay. To be awake and aware and to survive, you must be fully present in the moment and authentically yourself. There is rarely time to mentally consider or control what comes bubbling up from inside of you. So what you say or what you do is suddenly there for everybody, including you, to witness. In fact, you often see when you are not looking or hear when you are not listening. This is how the potential for evolutionary change hidden in each moment of existence is empowered within you. As you live by your strategy and authority, you become a living example. Your intuitive knowing, personal survival, and mutative self-loving behaviors influence or empower others. And this is all about when you are in the present moment, you know exactly what to say, who to say it to. You know exactly who to meet, how to meet with them. These people show up. The synchronicity happens. The miracles can unwind. They only are in the present moment. And self-assurance, you can only truly be in the present moment and self-assured. You can't be self-assured and worried about the past. You can't be self-assured and worried about the future. You can only be self-assured and deeply present in your vessel, comfortable there in now. Okay. And again, we're going to be going through the days of this. The energy is going to shift. We're going to have 4 yin days and 2 yang days. First time having 2 yang days together, y'all. And in that understanding, there is some things that we need to look at, I think, micro internally and then externally. And we're going to have the opportunity to do both. Okay. So we're going to go from superficiality to dogmatist to self-aware to application to realism to wisdom. We get to wisdom by the end of the week. And that is where we are with human design. Now, I'm going to take you through how to download this calendar because all of the days are there. And I know people have been having problems with this because my friends have been having problems with this. So step one, I found the right link. There are many links for this. If you go to Google Calendar, I can't believe this was so hard. If you want the daily calendar, The link is in the description. Click that link from your cell phone if you're on your cell phone, okay? When you click that link on your cell phone, at the bottom of the screen, it's going to be a plus sign. It's going to say either sign into Google or add this to your Google Calendar. You're going to sign into Google, you're going to add it to your Google Calendar, and bing, bang, boom, there it is for you right there. I think you should do it on your phone because when you do it on your phone, it's really pretty and you can just click in and click out of it and you get all the emojis and all the hard work and the organization that I put into this instead of slash paragraph slash. Okay. Now let's talk about I Ching. Before we even talk about I Ching, let's go back to the present moment for a minute because I do really think this is super, super important. And before we even talk about that, yes, I have to say this. Okay. The present moment is where all the juice is. It's where all the miracles are. It's where all your control is. It's where all your manifestations are. It's where all your synchronicities are. We've been talking about this. They cannot be in the past. Only your mind can travel to a memory. Your body can't go back there. Only your mind can travel to the future. Your body cannot go forward there. The only place your body is in the present. And in that present, so your mind shall be. Okay? Practice this. This is why we garden. This is why we do art. This is why we sing. This is why we have dance. This is why we do things that require us to absolutely pay attention, because when you pay attention, you're in the present moment. So the thing about being in the present moment is that if you think about wind going over earth carrying messages, and you think about how tiny, for instance, a dandelion seed is, and that could be your entire manifestation information, because photons don't have to be big to carry a ton of information. All of the information that you need for your next level of awareness, and you're not in the present moment, and the wind has made it go past you because the wind allows it to go through you. You have to catch it. And it's all about when you're in the right time and you allow the intuitive force to take over you, all of you will allow it to express itself. You will hear it without listening. That's what they mean. And it's crazy when you're trying to do, if you're doing a lot of spiritual work and trying to collect to the elements or trying to like go deep in your meditations and, maybe connect to light beings or your guides. One of the biggest things you have to learn is that you set the intention and then you release it, because you just have to you aren't allowed to sit there listening really hard because you missed the message. It could be coming through another way and it's super subtle. You only can hear it open, not focused. So when you're focused, you're in one direction and it's like you're blacked out to everything else. You can only get that one thing. Everything else is literally physically, manually blocked. When you're open, all things flow through and the right information is just there when you need it. And the greatest information comes to you that way. Okay, so now let's look at the I Ching. Remember, we've got wind over earth. The energy reads yin, 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 yang, yang. Okay, very exciting. So let's talk about this. We have now experienced a ton of yin days, 2 yang days. I am starting to know this difference. I'm going to say more about it later. I want to see what you notice. I'm excited to have 2 of these days in a row. The funny thing about this is that I'm starting to think of time as not days, but as this energy. And if you think of these energies as the quote unquote days, if you have 4 yin days together, it's one congruent day. That's not 2 days. So technically speaking, it's like 7 days has been one day. If you just if there was no sun or no moon, it would be like we have been pulled down. And the next, we're going to finally be like lifted up a little bit, but that's the energy. Okay. And the I Ching has a very profound message, and it says, shallow wells rarely strike water. Shallow minds often come up empty. The ability to keep still and deeply observe strengthens resolve and attracts good fortune. Discern the difference between what is deep and what is shallow within yourself, and you will be able to distinguish between the two in the outer world as well. One thing I want you to think about this is how often are you observing? And to me, communication, which is what we're talking about here, okay? This is all about communication. One of the most important parts of communication is listening, not talking, right? Observing is listening. It's taking in all of the outer stimuli, running it through your vessel, and allowing it to bring you information. And if you can do that without judgment, you're in a really good spot. But noticing the patterns, the swirls, the colors, the tones, the taste, the smells, all of the things within that information before you make a move. When you start doing that, oh baby, you can make real moves, because now you know, as in the art of war, you know your enemy, right? Or you just know your room, you know your things. How often do you observe? This always brings me back to living in New York. So I wanted to like just talk about people watching, because it's so like it's such a fun idea. Okay, so if you ever lived in New York or even seen, the people there are fun to. It's so fun to people watch. That's what I'm trying to say. And people watching is fun because everybody has a tell. And I don't mean this in a bad way. And this is gonna lead more, we'll talk about more in Gemini, but like every single human being, like all of these parts of them are expressing who they are in the moment. And there are so many big personalities in New York. You see so many versions of that, right? While if, I'm in the Midwest now, I hate to say it, no hate, y'all, but like you go to the mall, you're going to see the same kind of thing over and over and over and over again here, right? Where there, it's like everybody's going to be just they're going to have their own version of themselves, right? And all of these different expressions come out within each of these packets of information. And if you think of them as just different forms of information of who they think that they are, it's going out and emitting out into the ethos, the ether. Uh, a lot of people don't stop to think about what that looks like, right? And I think the I Ching is asking us to investigate. And with again the days on the daily calendar, on the daily calendar, on the daily calendar, you will see how the I Ching investigates this information. It's all about observing the room and learning how to communicate from this more informed place, but not from strategy. It's not about manipulation. It's just giving yourself a chance to be still and present allows for you to utilize the proper momentum to move. But if you don't know how to catch the wave because you're not paying attention, you will miss these moments. So obviously the degrees of the sun and the Sabian symbols is going to be going from Gemini 1 through 5. That's what we're going to be focused on our dailies. And I'm just going to cover the major focus of the Sabian symbols here. It's through uncovering fresh new dimensions of life. A clear belief unfolds in the dependability of universal abundance. Then, by understanding the role of modern hierarchy and privilege and accessing primitive wisdom, we can go beyond the entropy of established limits and collective opinions. Learning how to genuinely express yourself to emanate the information that you are trying to send out to get the information back that you are trying to actually receive. That's the manifestation. Okay. Now let's talk about Gemini, Jupiter. I got to really close this one up a little bit more and tie this one home a little bit more. Okay, so like I said in the beginning, we've got a new moon in Gemini coming this week. We've got Jupiter in Gemini, Mercury in Gemini, and the sun in Gemini. Okay. And this is all about major focal point on expression, looking into what people say, blowing up over what people say, minimizing, expanding, contracting, investigating, spreading what other people say, and your own messages, either what other people say or what you say. Expansion on all forms of communication. Okay. So for a minute, I want to talk to you about communication again with what I started with and what I'm going to like end with. Okay. This is what you think like sound looks like based on the illustrations that may be going around. Like when you think about like sound, it is like these wave frequencies, right? But now put that image in a freaking bubble, guys, and then think about the expansion of that. Okay, so these are from Dynamics. So Simoscope is like the way that they measure sound in a medium to pull out the shape of that sound, to study it and to see what it looks like and if that means anything. And I want you to remember this for a second. Sound, in essence, is pressure vibrating the air. Okay? Sound is pressure vibrating the air. The air is Gemini. The wind is the movement of that air, and Gemini is mutable, so it can be still and it can move. Okay, it has the ability to change, but it ain't changing all the time. It's pretty balanced. Okay, but it can be shifted. And if you think of Jupiter getting into this bubble, and if you think of Jupiter as either exploding something, making something bigger, then maybe it came out of your mouth as, and traversing it across a terrain in air, which you might really want if you're trying to get something and you want your message to spread, unless you said something foolish, right? So it really depends. But I want you to think about this bubble of expansion, but I want you to think of Jupiter in both ways. So you could also go inside this bubble. And the I Ching is saying going in the bubble is how you observe. It's asking you to do that first. Look at all the contents of the inside of the bubble. Use the energy of Jupiter to zoom in as close as you can and get into that bubble of information before you make any decisions and manipulate it from the inside. Okay. I just want to show you this because this is a cancer cell on the right that they took an image of the sound of the cancer cell. And you see that gap in the pattern. If you're looking and you're not watching on the podcast, you should be looking at this on YouTube. And then on the other side, you have a sound bubble, the healthy cell sound made visible. Okay, so like that's a healthy cell. So you can see the difference in the dysregulation. And this on the right hand side could also be like, someone speaking poorly. This could be, most human auras potentially look like this based on just like the wear and tear and the drag on our systems in this toxic ass environment, right? Our cells look more like the right potentially than the left, as and like unfortunately. But think about this exact emanation is what an atom looks like. It's force and movement in a pattern, period, in a shape of a bubble. This is what your DNA looks like. So all of this energy, by the way, can be shifted with 0.00002. I can't think of the name of force. Oh, it's like an F, force. Like that, it takes such little intention. A thought can change the expression of this pattern. And because we have thousands of thoughts a day, this morphogenic pattern is going from one state to another state, to a destroyed state, to a healthy state, to a dilapidated state, constantly throughout the day, based on these minute expressions of our antenna emanating out either health and radiance or despair and depression or disease. And it's all about all of the information in the packet. It's not like you're sending it out on purpose. You're just one giant bubble of information that every other thing in the universe interacts with. It's just all connected, right? And it's a ripple. It's like everything touches it anyway. And it's really coming down to walking, talking antenna that you are. We are full broadcasting how we feel constantly, okay? Through sounds and groans and sighs, the way we walk, our gait, our stride, how we dressed, where our mind is. We can tell if someone is focused or wandering. You can immediately tell if somebody's paying attention. Look at someone driving next to you the next time you're in the car. You know if they're looking at the road, they phone, music, talking, not paying attention, just undistracted. All of this information, you don't know these people's names. It's been not even 5 seconds. You picked up all of this information. Not even 1 second. They haven't opened their mouths. You can look at someone on the street and you immediately can see certain information. And obviously you can cast judgments on it, but even some information can be picked up without it being good or bad in a judgment. It's just facts of information that's there. Now, the key to manifesting in this universe is to get this beacon to put out the signal you want so that you can get back the reception, which we all know matches the harmony or the frequency of the signal. So like, if you want to get back something great, you're going to have to send out something great. It's got to be a signal match. That's what it is. That's what it is. And it comes from within. Jupiter, I believe, will help with this. If you help in Jupiter though, right? So like, the signal you are currently putting out will magnify. Irregardless of if that signal feels good to you or bad to you, the expression will magnify with Jupiter. And you can go into that or you can try to avoid it and you might feel it as an explosion or an implosion. Okay? Think about the signal you are emanating to the world? What are you sending out on a day-to-day basis? Don't you think you should know that information? I think it's your business if it's nobody else's. What are you broadcasting out from your signal every single day? What do people say about you when you're not in the room? That's a harsh one. That hurts. That hits the sacral chakra, right? But I do believe that if you can see it without the judgment sauce and consider what actually the energy you actually want to put out, you have information there that you can use in any direction you decide to place it, right? And I think with the new moon in Gemini, I think it's our chance for us to renew our broadcast to the world. And so spend some time considering what that means to you, what signal you want to share, how you want to be perceived, especially when it comes to getting your vision out. Take some time to recommit yourself here. I am having a lot of fun with creative energy, so I've given you a little sign here that you can use. It's the full moon, new moon sign, and it's going to take you through Gemini. How to use the Gemini new moon to better broadcast the information you want to send out. It's really fun with a lot of twists. It's like the graphic design stuff I want to do, but I don't have to update this. You get this once, you get to read this, have fun with it, and move on. It's in the description. I don't even need your email for this. The website is down for a couple of days while it's being updated. So in the meantime, enjoy this. There are new moon dates on here, and I think you'll have fun with it. Let's talk about Saturn moving into Aries. Now, Saturn is the last planet to cross the threshold of Pisces to Aries, okay? Pass back through the firmament, now in the ground as a seed Aries spark. We've got this little flame that Saturn has now just stepped through, okay? I want you to think of it like that. Saturn rules the skeletal system, time, structure. That's why the skeletal system. So think calcium, think minerals, think rock and stone and history. Structure is what keeps something secure and firm, while the flesh and our organs are all soft and gooey. This is the thing that ensures that we stay, that we have some sort of structure to us and frame. So you always need, remember, the masculine is that idea that you build a frame and then you throw your intuition of your feminine expression into this frame. And it should be enough that your feminine expression, no matter if you're a man or a woman, can express wildly and beautifully within a frame, to signal who you are. I was watching Monty Don's Gardening, which is a UK show. They're all about their gardening there. And this show has been on for like 56 seasons, and it's all about gardening if you don't know about it. And what it's called Gardener's World. And one of the things that and this wasn't even Gardener's World. He's the host of Gardener's World. He was in France looking at French gardens. And there was this garden that I saw, and it had a mowed section, and then but it's in squares, giant squares. And these giant squares had the wildest plant displays you ever saw. And it gave this form to this feminine expression. So that is in fact what you are trying to do. And Saturn is going to help you with Aries to do that. It is the passion and the inertia and the beginning oomph that is necessary for the structure that you have been trying to place, build, vision on earth. This level of discipline and this thing that you're trying to bring in has this now heat behind it. So how are you bringing this spark into reality, and is it shining bright? Saturn is going to ensure that you use discipline and structure with your creative juice. The creative juice came through with Venus and Neptune, and it said, oh, this is such a wonderful dream. Oh, it's so pretty. It's so glorious. I love everything about this expression. Organize it and come back to me. Better put it in a better organization packet. This isn't, it's got to go in a way and a format for it to be delivered to earth. It needs a form to be on earth. And so Saturn is here to help with that. As that shift comes through, I want you to think about the potential of that. And it's funny because it's right now sitting at 0 degrees Aries. On Friday it will be, sorry, that is the date of this movement. And it's going to be with the new moon in Gemini. So you're not only going to have the ability to renew your expression and your antenna with this new moon, especially with the new moon ritual and design that you're going to get. It's to reaffirm and introduce and bring in the more heat and the more structure and the more discipline of Saturn. Okay. And it's a recognition of potential. If you look at the Sabian symbol of this, it's a woman rises out of a water. A seal rises and embraces her. And this is really about schmecks, okay? Become the essence seed of your soul incarnation. It's the spark of life. And it's a recognition of potential, emergence out of the realm of potentiality, that movement from Pisces to Aries, right? Everything that has ever come to pass has had its first beginnings in the realm of potentiality, the ghost of an idea not formed, neither expressed nor explicit, yet in seed form, containing the unconscious potential for mature realization. The vast majority of seeds are not germinated and so fail to realize their potential. In the beginning, to become an individual, we need to emerge from the sea of the collective unconscious to leave the womb. First, the desire is simply to be, because it is still far from certain whether survival itself can be attained. So it's all about number one, I love this idea of the seeds, and the ones that don't germinate fail, but we have this wind to carry this seed further than maybe it gets gone before with Jupiter and Gemini, right? We can spread the message farther than it has to give it more chance of germination and to fulfill its potential. Also remember that to truly fulfill its potential, this seed, this giant potential, like a lotus seed, it's got to be in the exact right acclimatization. The temperature of the soil has to be right. The conditions have to be right. It has to be in the right place at the right time. It's always that. Okay. And you always get a new chance to emerge and be in the right place at the right time. And before you really know even what you came here to be, it was all about can't just simply being. And we have forgotten how to simply be, especially when it comes to trying to capture the information necessary for us to not just be, but express. So in the meantime, we're expressing nonsense because we don't even know what we're supposed to be expressing, because we don't know ourselves, because this idea that we were once like potential that have come to earth, we're not celebrating this ability to renew and to re-recognize and to step into this new version of ourselves, uh, and not necessarily have to focus on survival just yet, but just like exist right before the focus of survival. Just this level of stillness and existence and observing and absorbing. We owe that to ourselves as a part of this reality and this creation in general. Okay. And I want you to, even if you don't download design, I'm going to leave you with this because I'm getting a message here. It's about subtle wood and the trees. And the trees, wood is connected to spring. Spring is connected to new beginnings. You can use the plants in your home and the trees. Ask them, say if the trees, if you're using us, be outside. You can also use the plants in your home to remove. They are there to release those leaves. They'll drain and pull the energy from you. Have them remove those memories, because the memories aren't real. They're based on all of this information that you built, but doesn't necessarily have any fact or basis in reality. And it's telling a story that no longer matters and defining a person that no longer exists, because you are new every moment, right? So allowing the trees to release, to help you drain and will take those memories from you that are really just holding you defined, holding you into these structures that you don't necessarily need to always be in. And what they will do is literally take those memories so that the opportunities feel new, because to change a pattern, you have to see that it's a pattern, and you have to be able to choose another door or another route. And you can't use your past or your memory to do that, because that means you're going back. That doesn't mean you're going forward. The future always has a new, all the energy. You never step in the same river twice. So the only way to get to that new is to release that old and not use it as a form of information anymore. And so the trees will take that from you. And that's a part of the design that you will read how to do this. Okay. Other than that, That is all the information that I have for you this week. I hope you have a fabulous new moon in Gemini, Jupiter expanding week. I personally, if I were you, I would really watch what I was reading and watching and absorbing, because a lot of air can really affect the aura and cause tears and agitate and bring in spiritual parasites to drain your energy. So it can, just like if you think about something being wind burned, too much air can like cause tearness and thinness. So lessen the communication that is not necessary and focus on the communication that is absolutely important. And how do you know if it's important to you? If it affects your present moment. If it doesn't affect your personal present moment, it's not necessarily important to you. Okay? Have a fabulous week again. We have a whole monthly energy report coming up, and I'm thinking we got to talk about Saturn and Aries, all 12 signs. So that will be coming up next week.